just kind of wing it here.
All right. So is there currently 0 viewers? Is that
zero.
all right?
Yep.
0 viewers.
Yep.
All right.
Metro 9666 has joined up.
All right. So it's the 3 of us.
All right. Well, a couple more.
All right. So there's a lot of people like waiting.
Yeah.
Wait
They were just chomping at the bit to come on in.
You gonna tell these people that the pop shop thing starts at 7:30 instead of 7?
Wait a second. I gotta populate a little bit. You know, we got some people in here. So I'm gonna crack this beer. You just got me.
Nice.
For that one. Thanks for all people coming on in. We're just doing a little pre-show before we go live on Pop Shop at 7:30. So, you know.
Smash these together like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Ruin your studio.
All right. There you go. This
You can show that off, right? Push that up to the. Let people take a look at that. Tell them that. Oh, don't show them the title. Show them the picture.
Oh no. Oh, yeah. It's paint me like one of your French bread pizzas. I thought it was pretty hilarious.
It's a triple. It's triple IPA.
Yeah.
Triples is best. Triples is best. You get a lot of waves.
Tell them.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell the
that's. I'm supposed to wave to them, so
I'll
I'll wave. Hey, everybody.
I have never used Instagram. I'm new to Instagram. I had an account and it got hijacked about 9 years ago, and now it just sells sunglasses.
Boner pills?
Sunglasses.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Sunglasses sales.
Can you get in on that at all?
No, I'm locked out of my account.
Oh.
It's just my face. Oh, and your artwork is the cover image of me that you drew me for Christmas years ago,
Oh, okay.
punching Zangief from Street Fighter. And apparently it just sells fake Oakleys.
Oh. Too bad you couldn't get a little piece of that.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, JT? See, the thing is with Instagram Live,
Yeah.
not a lot of people participate in Instagram Live. Like over on Pop Shop, it's always popping. You know, people are just like in there asking questions and kind of stuff. On here, people just join in, like, what are they doing? So, not to insult the 2 people that are here. Because remember, there was like 30 people that joined up.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Oh, it's down to 2. All right.
Yeah, down to 2.
So they come in. Oh, you know what it is? They were like, oh, look at his guest.
Yeah.
Gone.
Got out of here.
Get out of here. All right.
Guapo.
Which is a Spanish name for handsome.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
handsome.
I wonder what those numbers mean.
That is how handsome he is. So
20,055.
yeah,
All right.
it's over 9,000.
Yeah. Hey, that's still good, Guapo. Good job, McMahon. Oh my God.
So are these people supposed to at 7:30 they leave here and then hop over to Pop Shop?
That is kind of the plan, but
So when the show begins.
But you know, we're just kind of getting up there. Let them know what's happening. So they'll pop in. Like I said, there's still only 2 people here, so
Cool. Well,
big deal.
Any of the 2 people that are in here, have they seen this movie? Have any of you 2 people seen the movie CRYPTID?
Right. It's 2022.
2023. It was started in 2020.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and COVID. We'll talk about that later. COVID ruined production.
Yeah. There was another one. Did you look up what the director did before?
Cabin 11.
I didn't know that. I thought there was Reg. No, his name was Reg something, right? Did you write that down?
I didn't.
Oh.
He did a movie called Cabin 11 that looked interesting to me, and the other ones looked like they weren't.
Yeah.
But I didn't recognize any of the movies that he had done, nor did I recognize any of the actors in CRYPTID.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good sometimes, because if you're like, oh, this is a Ryan Reynolds movie, like your brain goes somewhere and you're like, I already know what this movie's about because of the actor who's in it.
Yeah, you know exactly
so,
what it's going to be, the feel. And all that.
Like Blair Witch, great movie. Didn't know who any of those actors were.
Yeah.
You know,
because
they're all dead now.
Been a long time since I've seen that.
It holds up. I mean, it's the same movie it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of the Blair Witch Project.
What about 2?
You know, I saw 2 once. I remember thinking it was okay, but it's a movie about the movie, and I kind of hate it when movies do that.
Too,
like,
yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street 7, Hellraiser, Hellworld. Like whenever you talk about the movies in a movie, it's like, Scream 5 got away with it because in Scream 2 they were making the movie Stab.
Yeah.
That was a prequel to, or events that happened in Burkittsville. No, Burkittsville was Blair Witch.
Well, hold on.
What was the town from Scream?
I have it. Hold on.
It's not Haddonfield.
Woodsboro.
That's right. Because you made the badge.
We haven't released.
Oh, all right. I didn't say that. The two people on here.
Yeah.
Just figured out.
We haven't released this yet, so that'll be coming this year. Don't even worry about it. You know, I never saw Scream 5 or 4. I was never a big fan of the Scream franchise, and then I watched 1 just recently again to like get reacquainted with it, and I was like, you know what? This isn't as bad as I remember.
Well, now you're watching it as an adult because
Yeah.
when you watched the first Scream, you were like 17 when it came out, 1997.
Yep. And everybody loved it, and I'm like, fuck
Where's
Scream.
Freddy? Freddy
Yeah.
ain't in this.
Yeah.
It sucks. Leatherface.
Yeah.
I just watched all the Scream movies.
Oh, nice.
In preparation for 5, I just marathoned them. So I think 1, fantastic movie. Holds up. It's good. It's the acting is good. It's entertaining. Scream 2 was not quite as good. Scream 3 was also enjoyable. I was bummed out when Jamie Kennedy got killed off. I think they killed him in Scream 2, though.
Have you seen him lately?
No.
He's looking his age. He's got to be almost 50, I'd assume.
Well, he was an adult when we were kids.
I thought he was like just a little bit older.
No, everyone who was in the first Scream was like 30 already.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Did you see 6 yet?
Is 6 out?
Yeah, it came out a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I have not seen 6 yet. I did like 5. 5 gets a little pretentious at some point. Talking about requels, where they're like reboot sequels. Like it's like the movie. It's a little bit meta, but it's also fine. Like, I mean, it's not as good as the original Scream. Yeah. But for part 5 in a movie franchise, it's a good part 5. Yeah. Very few series can pull off. Like, look at Friday the 13th. Like, what was part 5?
Was 5 Manhattan?
A New Beginning. A New Beginning. So Jason wasn't even in that one. That was the one with Roy there, the ambulance driver.
Xavier, thanks for popping on in. We're just doing a little pre-show before we head on over to Pop Shop. So
yeah, we got.
Thanks for coming by. We got like 15 minutes. We'll probably end this, and then we'll head over there. Roger.
Hey, Roger.
Yeah. Well, why did you go with Xavier Broker then? 97.
While he's typing, do you remember what Nightmare on Elm Street 5 was? While we're talking about good and bad part 5s in horror series.
5 was. I kind of stopped around the Dream Warrior.
I mean, that's my. It's tough. 1, 2, 3 are all my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Yeah. They're all good. They're all good for different reasons. Part 2, main character's name's Jesse. It's a great name.
But this and Roger, this is Jesse from the YouTube series Horror Score. Is one half of the duo that puts together those just horror reviews, ratings.
Yeah, we've been out of commission since we bought a house, but word on the street is we're filming an episode this week to come back for a 34th episode, and then maybe do one a month after that.
Roger, you have any Brazilian horror movies that you want to give Jesse a line on, so maybe he could review them for his show? The only thing I remember, Turistas, was that in Brazil?
I don't know.
The only line I remember is like, Turistas, go home. Or that was the tagline in the movie. I don't remember 100%.
Let's see. Other horror franchises with high numbers? At 7:30.
7:30. It says
I can't see anything if you guys are talking to people.
This is on.
We're on Instagram.
Do it a pre-show.
Do it a pre-show.
Sweet.
If you look on Pop Shop, it probably says it starts at 7:30, right?
It does.
Fans.
Yeah, there you go, fans.
Fans showed up. They wanted to know why he wasn't streaming at 7.
I understand.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. By the time you get to the 5th movie, not good. I love the Phantasm series. By the time you get to part 5, which is Ravager, it's just sad. It's it breaks my heart. Angus Scrimm, wonderful human being. Most of the people in all the Phantasm movies are excellent. But yeah, I mean, part 5 is just it's probably the weakest in the series.
I know I've seen at least 2 of them. I had no clue there were 5 Phantasm movies.
Well, 4 came out, I don't know, 15 years ago, and then right before Angus Scrimm passed away, the tall man, they eked out part 5, and
Was he real, like,
He was-
gaunt? More gaunt?
He was literally like on his deathbed
Yeah.
when they filmed some scenes. Like they even filmed him in a scene in a hospital, in a hospital bed, because he was like so sick. They were like, all right, let's just film this scene in the hospital. It'll be fine.
Went out doing what he loved.
Yeah. Angus Scrimm, he's done a lot of stuff. He was in John Dies at the End, because it's a Don Casarelli movie. He's in a lot of his stuff.
No, who's Don Casarelli?
He's a director who I believe got his he got started with the original Phantasm, which was like 1979. But Angus Scrimm has been in a bunch of other stuff. Like he was in Chopping Mall. Wait, yeah, I think he was in Chopping Mall. I think he like talked when they were opening the mall, but he also there was a poster in the background of like a food court scene that he was also on.
Roger, I would also say that Jesse is cool, so thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it. We're still wondering if there's any Brazilian horror movies. I'm not sure if they're old enough. Maybe as a child. Well, 97. That's probably when they were born, right?
So that would make them 17 years younger than you.
Molky01, what's happening? Thanks for stopping on in. We're just doing a pre-show before we head on over to Pop Shop Live. If you don't know what Pop Shop is, it is kind of this, but there's a shopping element to it. So at the Hellmouth, we've got pins, t-shirts, posters, prints, a whole bunch of stuff. So while we're here talking about movies or like cryptids or anything like that, you could be looking through the store, like, oh, this print's cool, oh, this t-shirt's cool, and you can pop that in. So we're gonna head over there in like 10 minutes. So if you want to check us out over on that platform, that would be awesome.
In the meantime, we're talking about part 5s of horror movie series.
I'm not gonna be any good at any of this stuff because
Critters 5, absolutely terrible.
was that wasn't the newest one, right? Because the newest, it was a reboot, was the newest one, right?
There was a
on
reboot.
Shudder?
I think it's called like Critters Gone Wild, or no, Critters Attack with an exclamation point. But there was a series. It was like 6 episodes, but the episodes were only like 15 minutes long. It was
Quibi
awful.
or something
It was
like
terrible. Yeah, it was. I mean, I watched it even though it was unwatchable. Yeah, it was very bad. Basically, if you're familiar with Critters, a critter left over from the first or second movie didn't die, and a lady fell in love with it, and they had kids. Which is, yeah, I know. And that kid grows up thinking he's a regular boy, and then while he's going through puberty, becomes a critter.
Is he like half critter?
He
half...
looks like a regular nerd, and then all of a sudden
his hair, like...
Yeah, his like eyes are red, and he like shoots quills at people on accident. It's
Oh my
bad.
God.
Because like bounty hunters from space show up to kill him, and he's like, "What's wrong? I didn't do anything." And they're like, "Oh, you're half." What do they call him? And they're like Krypts.
Yes, it was Christ.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They're like, he's half Krypt.
Roger, my mother is a fan of yours. Send a kiss to Letitia. I don't...
Go ahead, man.
I'm not in the habit of sending out kisses on the internet.
Is there a kiss emoji you can send out?
Yeah, hold on. Let's take a look. Is there...
Say it's for his mom.
Roger, why don't you come on the show here? I'll call you in, and then you can put the phone up to your mother, and we'll talk to her. We'll send kisses to her.
Nice.
It's okay. Blow some kisses out. I don't. No, thank you. But if Letitia is on here, I'd do that for a fan. You know, have her come on the show.
So let's see. We can stray away from the
Part
the
5.
part 5s. My point was that when you watch part 5 in a horror series and it's like not bad, that's good that they made it that far into the series and they hadn't driven it into the ground yet. Like Hellraiser 5, Hellraiser Inferno. It's like probably my second favorite Hellraiser movie.
Is that the one that takes place in the apartment, or is that the? Because there was an apartment one where they.
That's probably 6, Hellseeker, with the guy who is Shane on The Shield. 5 is the one with Craig Sheffer. He's a police detective and he's a crooked cop. And he plants evidence at scenes and he finds a puzzle box at one of the scenes and he solves it by accident.
It's like a faintest whisper in my brain being like, I think I've seen that, but I don't know, probably not. She is married. Then I mean, why do you want me to send kisses to your mother if she's married?
It's a different part of the world.
Oh,
different,
okay. Culture.
Different culture thing. Maybe like kissing someone on the when you meet someone from France and you kiss them on the cheek, and that's like totally normal. But hugging in France is for like intimate, like close friends.
Right. Yeah. Well, what if you're like side to side and not like tip to tip?
I don't know what you're talking about. But I do know that in Russia, when you scoot by somebody, like if you're in this tight hallway and you're trying to scoot by, you have to look them in the eye when you scoot by them. You can't like give them your butt and like scoot by that way. You have to like stare them down in the face when you like are in close quarters and you've got to scoot by. I taught sociology for one semester, and it was an honors class, and we went over a lot of weird social norms from around the world. So.
I mean, that's cool. I wonder, do you know why is that like that?
I don't know. You also, in the same country, you can't offer a handshake in a doorway. Like if you like knock on someone's door and they answer the door and you're like, hello, that's rude.
Yeah.
You have to like either go outside and shake their hand or invite them into your home.
I can see that because then like they're like pushing their way into your home kind of deal, I can see that. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to end this live right now. I'm going to give us a few minutes before we head over to Pop Shop Live. So the one person that's left, if you want to if you don't have it already, search your app store, search for Pop Shop Live, download it, and use the code HLLMTH to find our show. We'll be there at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you over there. Thanks for hanging. Do I discard it or do you want to keep it? I don't know.
Let's discard it.
Yeah, well, I think discard.
Oh, yeah, unless you're like putting together a highlight reel.
Okay, so.
Oh, there's someone. You got a person.
Gina, thanks for popping on in. Just populating the store right now. See, this is pretty chill.
Yeah.
Pretty chill show. It's not the big of a deal. Matt, thank you. Coming on in. Oh,
You're getting a lot of lightning bolts.
Bolts are flying already.
Does that mean that something scary happened? Did someone get scared and they hit the lightning bolt button?
They got spooked. Add to the show. Where is it? Okay. Don't do that. Oh, good God. All right. Wait for a few more people to come on in. If you guys don't mind hitting the share button, share the show for us. That usually drives a couple more people in. Vicky. See, we got somebody from Instagram to come over into the Pop Shop show.
All right.
This is Vicky, though, so...
Well, all right.
Good deal.
You got four. You got four in here now. You want to show off what you're drinking to these people who have no idea what you're sipping on?
Well, usually Kelly comes in, and Kelly always asks. So she usually comes in a couple minutes, so she'll ask in a minute.
Okay. All right.
But, I can go back for Kelly. So,
Yeah, all right.
I found these at the city, and look at this sweet art. Look, there's a cowboy holding daisies over his privates, and somebody's painting a picture of a French bread pizza.
What's the title of this beer? What's this beer called, though?
This beer is called "Paint Me Like One of Your French Bread Pizzas." So it was fun. 10% triple IPA. I'm going to be trashed in 10 minutes. So that's the kind of show we're rocking today.
So, what's a good number of minutes to shoot the breeze about cryptids before we dive into the movie?
Yeah. Like I said, this show is really casual.
Yeah.
You kind of you play to the audience. So I like to just kind of hang out and chill for a little bit, just chit chat about bullshit. And then we're usually it's 15 minutes in when I usually have a guest on or we start to talk about the movie or something like that. So yeah. If you want to go ahead and throw anything out there, no big deal.
All right. Well, yeah, I will. Well, is it okay to tell them this week's movie title?
Of course, yeah.
All right.
Go
Well,
for it.
this week's movie title is
Hold on a second. Let me back up. I'd like everybody to give a very special welcome to one half of YouTube's famous horror movie review show, Horror Score. This is Jesse from Horror Score.
Thank you very much. The other half of the show, being Vanessa, whom is not here tonight, but maybe next time you do another spooky cryptid related movie, maybe she could come down.
Yeah.
So the movie tonight is called CRYPTID, which I had never heard of before. So we watched it the other day. We gave it a solid review.
I thought it was apropos for this kind of show.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to reserve all of my judgments about the movie for when the show actually starts. But in terms of cryptids, I know that you love the whole cryptid community. And some cryptids are held in higher esteem than others, right? So where would you... what is your favorite cryptid of all time? Like, if you had to rank them, not what one do you believe in the most, but just like, what is the coolest cryptid out there? And maybe anyone else, if anyone's watching, like if they can key stuff in and anybody else wants to throw theirs in. But let Josh answer first so that your answers, if he's like, oh man, this person's so cool, I'm just going to steal their answer.
I would have to say, it's hard because obviously, like, if I don't want to do of course, like Bigfoot. Bigfoot's the coolest one of all time, the granddaddy of them all, right? But he's a little plain where it could seem like, okay, it's just an animal in the woods. I like a little bit of mysticism with my cryptids. So I like the Spectre of Maine, which is an albino moose that appears before like terrible things happen, just like Mothman, stuff like that. And so there's different sightings of him all throughout, like there's 1800s and 1900s of like this giant albino moose with 100 points on his antlers, just roaming the woods. And I like that kind of like mystical part of the cryptid versus the just like, well, it's a tribe of animal in the woods. Like, we got like puckwudgies and you got like hide behinds. You got all these like weird
skunk apes.
Yeah, you got all these like weird, like kind of like, they're just kind of like animals that are ridiculous. Or like, I don't even remember what one there was. There's one that's like half elephant, half horse or something like that, and it's like a legit cryptid. And I'm like, this is kind of lame,
So, I mean, given the fact that moose really do live in Maine, and any animal can be albino, probably, very likely, there has been an albino moose sighting that's 100% real.
Right.
So, like, what makes it, like, is it happenstance that, someone who had one of these rare sightings and saw an actual albino moose and then something terrible happened and they were like, it's a sign? Or is that moose, I guess, as far as being a cryptid, like, there's just one? Like that, like the Mothman that kind of creeps around, and
that's what it seems like, but who knows? You know what I mean? It's one of those. It could be. I wonder what the stats are on albinism with animals. Like what?
That's a Google search away.
Yeah, hold on. Let's just take a quick look right here.
He's gonna look that up. Well, he is. My favorite cryptid of all time is the Mothman. We didn't talk about this beforehand, so. I didn't get a chance to mention that to you, but I love the Mothman. Now, I don't necessarily know if I believe in the Mothman, but just as a cryptid, the mythos, the lore, the Richard Gere movie, I love the Mothman.
But I hate Richard Gere.
Right.
Yeah. He's got black Cenobite eyes, and I just don't like seeing him on camera.
Well, the internet did get turned against Richard Gere about 15, 20 years ago. South Park helped with that.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah. So, the rate of albinism varies depending on species, with catfishes occurring 1 in 20,000, birds at 17 in every 30,000, and in mammals occurring at 1 out of every 10,000 mammal births. So, that's not that rare. Well,
I mean, how many moose are... I mean, there's plenty of moose. I'm sure there's more than 10,000 moose, meaning right now, there's 1 or 2 albino moose just walking around.
Let's say... Maine's moose population looks to be around 75,000.
So you got about 7.5 albino moose out there right now walking around.
Yeah. What do you mean, come on, Josh? What's this all about?
I didn't know we were judging you.
Yeah.
On your favorite cryptid.
Yeah.
Well,
Rebs, Kelly, Steph, Samantha, thanks for coming on in. Kelly, I was gonna wait to show you what beers we were drinking, but I'll do this real quick. I'll do this real quick again. So there's a cowboy with daisies on his lap, and somebody's painting a picture of French bread pizza. And it's paint me like one of your French bread pizzas. That's what it's called. Hating on Richard all the time. Did we hate on Richard?
who said that?
Steph did. Are we hating on somebody right now?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
We were talking about moose. We were talking
Albinism?
about none of that. No.
Richard. You know what it is? This is 10% beers already. Richard Gere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? That was so many minutes ago that that had faded. My brain went right to my buddy Rich, and I was like, I didn't say nothing bad about him.
Yeah. I mean, Richard Gere.
He was good in First Night, and that's it.
I can't think of anything that I've ever liked him in. It's just I can't look into his eyes and think he's a human being. Just disgusting.
Well, I've never noticed that he had unnerving eyes until
Oh.
you mentioned it today.
I ignored my comment when it was present. I'm not as good of a pop shop person as you, Steph. You and Stina are right on those comments. So I usually get caught up on a conversation or something else. So I'll do better. I promise to do better.
So, has anyone in the feed so far watched this movie Cryptid that we're supposed to be talking about in a little bit? Has anybody seen this? Because otherwise, it's going to be our job to let you know if you should watch it.
I'm guessing everybody has seen it. Yeah. Nope.
Well, as the no's pour in, and if you do try to find this movie, you might have a little bit of trouble because this is not the only movie called Cryptid.
There is not. You know how many times I Googled because I needed to find like the movie poster or the trailer, something just to do like a little promo shot or something like that. I did that. I'm like, oh my god, what's this other movie called Cryptid? And you'd have to sort through like 3 different things.
There's another one in 2006, 2013. Then there's a movie called Cryptids, plural, that came out in 2021, which would have been super crazy if this movie wasn't delayed from COVID. They both probably would have come out the same year, Cryptid and Cryptids.
Like a volcano movie.
And Dante's Peak,
Yep.
like First Night and Braveheart. I know that's a stretch, but Deep Impact and Armageddon also in the theater at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, finding that, trying to find all that stuff, I was like, oh my god. But I do want to see like the poster for that one that you just talked about, the 2021. Did you look at the synopsis for it?
I did not. I only looked at things about the movie that we were reviewing, and I kind of just passed on the other things for now.
Yeah.
So what was it that stood out to you?
I did not even look at it. That's why I was asking. I was just like,
okay.
this might look kind of cool. But it looked kind of like a hip young kind of like, well, we just watched Bodies. So
Yeah, that was a good movie.
all of the colors on the poster, it seemed like, like, oh, it's a party movie, but with cryptids. And I wish I looked into it, but I failed in that aspect of it. So, yeah, so I guess we can dive into talking about the film,
Sure.
right?
Very first thing that I would like to say about this movie, before we even talk about the movie, is that if you're a person who can't watch a movie, if an animal gets killed, there is some pet animal death. Now, you don't get to know the dog really well. You just see him for a minute, like, oh, there he goes. It's about, if you've seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space, it's about that level. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's about that level. So there is some dog-specific pet death in this movie that happens off camera.
It's off camera. Yeah,
It is off camera.
Off camera.
And we don't really get to know the dog first, but I know that's just a no from some people right there if they hear that ahead of time. So,
was it before this movie, or was there before like another movie where it has like pet death or like animal death? I've seen that recently as like a trigger before like a movie.
like on the green band
Yeah.
thing, like for the trailers and whatnot.
Yeah, not in the trailers, but like when you click on the movie and you hit play and then it has like the like smoking with nudity.
So that's more like a Netflix thing, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
Netflix does it, Disney does it. So,
Kelly just said they show it on IMDb, so maybe that's where I
Okay.
saw it.
all right.
So yeah, I thought this movie was pretty slow. It was a lot of two reporters talking about something that might have happened. I don't know if you've got a better handle. Last time we did one of these review shows, it was all just kind of like all over the place. So
We can be all over the place. It's
as a
okay.
professional movie reviewer, if you've got a better, if you have a better format,
Sure, I would just dump this. There's like one cop in this movie, one police officer. He's a sheriff.
Murdoch.
Sheriff. Charles Murdoch. And you can trust him through the whole movie. He's a straight shooter. But aside from him being in the movie, and he never does any police work. Like when you see him, he's just kind of like around being like, don't even talk to me. The murders are getting so bad. We don't know what it is. But this would fall into the police procedural kind of film, where if you're hoping to see like cryptid action, like Marines with machine guns coming into a small town shooting cryptids off the walls, that doesn't happen at all. It's mostly Max and Harry, which is short for Harriet, which really rubbed me the wrong way. Of this guy, there was like a little sexual tension, and him just calling her Harry throughout the whole movie. I felt kind of strange about, but it's just them two in different settings.
Two
talking.
reporters.
Yeah.
Two reporters in different things, like talking about stuff where she was getting ready to move on with her life.
The big city.
The big city, Boston. Or was it New York?
I think it was actually New York.
Was it? Okay, but they talked about Boston
She
a
went
lot.
to college in Boston.
Yeah. And Max, the
failed
the
journalist.
failed down and out journalist who like just something didn't add up with these murders, and he just had to like he just kept getting like little pieces of information of like something wasn't right, things weren't adding up, and he knew there was a story there, and he convinced Harry to come along and try
Don't
to
call her Harry.
well, we might call it
Harriet?
Harriet, to come along and see what this is all about. And he kept saying it was going to be a big break, and I don't see how he could think that when there were just like small inconsistencies with the murders, where they had to call the coroner for some reason.
Which like she like had a crush on him, so he like smooth talked her over the phone, like, give me those deets on the dead body.
Yeah.
And she's like, only for you, Max.
Yeah.
But so he like instantly knows there's a story, which is weird. He's going to get groceries because his power got shut off. In the opening scene of the movie, after a motorist hits an animal and then it eats him, but you don't see the animal. You actually, if you go into this movie expecting to see the animal, the cryptid, the monster, you just like a little bit. And I know it's okay. It like worked for Alien, but it didn't work for me in this movie on how much they did not show the monster.
I think towards the end of the movie they showed quite a bit of it.
Just its face,
well-
coming out of the darkness, going.
Well, think about like Dog Soldiers, where all you saw was like the arms coming through the.
The best special effects
Yeah.
I've ever seen in a movie. I think those are real werewolves, actually, that they have brought in.
When they, that classic standing picture of the werewolf, like like that was great design.
Yeah.
But the design of this cryptid we'll get into later, but it's almost laughable. I don't think it's there. It's close
It wasn't
to being
there.
laughable.
No, this movie doesn't have a good place. Like, hey, if I like these movies, or like what movies might I like, or I will like this movie if I liked what movies. Like, it's tough because this movie,
Yeah.
it's 2 hours long, like 1 hour and 59 minutes, or right? It's something like that.
57, whatever. Yeah.
And for most of the movie, just being two people walking through the woods or talking in a room, I feel like
It's
35 minutes could have been easily just cut out. Like,
But
just
I
cut that scene.
wasn't too bored during it. Like, yeah, I was like, oh, this could have been shaved here, this could have been shaved here, but I didn't hate it. You know what I mean? Like, most of the time when I'm like, oh, that movie could have been an hour shorter, you're just like I would do, it kills your whole like thought of the whole movie. This one, it could have been shorter, but it didn't make me hate it. It's still okay. Like, the pacing was okay.
I think it's because the dialogue writing is decent. Where like people
Yeah.
having conversations, you get kind of sucked into realistic conversations. Like, I believe they're having this conversation about this cryptid, and being a viewer wanting to know, like, is this Bigfoot? Is this a La Chupacabra? Like, what is this, a Mothman? What cryptid are we looking at? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Kelly said they needed a different editor. Yeah, that like happens in like so many of these kinds of films, but it feels like it took the leap over like a shitty B movie and really tried to be like an honest to goodness, like kind of like a, like you were saying, procedural murder mystery with a creature in it, and it took it seriously, and it wasn't camp. Like they had a balance, and I think they were just on that tightrope, and they made it work, but it wasn't awesome and it wasn't terrible at the same time. It was right in the middle, and I expected it to be so much worse.
I honestly think that because this movie did encounter trouble because of COVID, they started filming it and then, world shut down.
Yep.
I guarantee that if you got the original script for this movie, there's way more to it. And I bet that they ended up just having, like, almost like with Jaws, like if you look into, like, the shark was broken for most of the movie, so they filmed the characters sitting around talking a lot, and then they ended up using a lot of that footage because it was better than the dialogue they had written for the movie in a lot of senses. So I bet that they were getting together to film and being like, well, we can't, because of all the COVID regulations, we can have these two people filming in a room talking. Mm-hmm. And I bet a bunch of scenes got scrapped due to logistics of trying to film around COVID.
Yeah, and I feel like in a lot of the movies that came out around like right after COVID, towards the end of the pandemic, you knew that you were like, oh, this was filmed. There was a Zoe Kravitz movie that was filmed during the pandemic, and it was like just mostly her, and you're like, okay, I understand. There was another Jake Gyllenhaal movie where he's just on a terminal the whole time. I think it was like 911 operator.
I did not see that.
I didn't see it either. Rich saw it, but I remember it was a COVID movie.
Richard Gere?
Richard Gere saw it. And didn't blink a single time. But anyway, so this movie didn't feel like it was a COVID, and I think it was because of like the setting. Maine, there's not a lot of people, and there didn't really need to be a lot of people. It's like the way that it was edited, like it did need better editing, but it wasn't bad.
What do you think of the setting of the movie, Josh? Like the landscape of the beautiful scenic Maine.
Oh, it was gorgeous. I mean, they only had like 3 shots of like up on a hill, and you could see like the color changing leaves and everything. But it rained for 99% of that movie.
Well, that was part of the plot. Mm-hmm. But before we talk about that, do you know that none of those scenes were filmed in Maine? They were all filmed in Massachusetts and one scene in Vermont. So, I mean, for whatever reason, they
shut it down. Shut it down. We're done with this review. Massachusetts.
You go to like you make a movie set in Maine, and then you film like 2 hours from there. Like, just go to Maine. Yeah. Like let's see some some landmarks, some places that people are gonna be like, oh, that bridge. Okay, I know where this is. But no,
Stephen King's house.
Yeah, there it is up in Bangor.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but no, the entire movie was filmed in Massachusetts, and actually one scene was filmed in New York.
And you know what? And now that I think back to it, like some of those scenes that were like lowland, kind of like just hills, and with the leaves, the color changes on the leaves, where I'm like, it looked like Massachusetts. Now that you say that, I was like, yep, that's Massachusetts. So if you're from New England, you can tell the difference in the different like parts of the states.
They had me fooled, like watching it, like, oh, this movie's in Maine. That's nice. Like, I'm glad they filmed it in Maine. Yeah. So I looked because I wanted to make sure that they weren't trying to pull one over on me. And they did. And they, I figured it out. Mm-hmm. So now I've ruined it for you and all the viewers. So basically, it's in Massachusetts. Yeah. You can see the big dig in the background.
Yeah, there's so many Dunkin' Donuts cups on the ground. The police car goes by and it just throws out Dunkin' Donuts cups.
I watched the trailer to this movie after I saw the movie. Did you watch it before?
I did, yes.
So I didn't see the trailer until after, and if you've never seen the movie but you've seen the trailer, I think that the trailer makes the movie look really scary. Like, it's a very well edited trailer, and the music in the trailer is really creepy. Mm-hmm. So if you're going off the trailer alone, this movie is like, hey, I'm in. I'm all in. But then when you watch it, like you were saying, like it has trouble finding its footing to like exactly who this movie is made for. And I usually disagree with when I read like Rotten Tomatoes scores or IMDb.
Yeah.
I'm usually nowhere near it. But I'm like exactly on. The IMDb rating for this movie is a 4.8. And I was like, you know what? That's like fair. Right about where this movie is. Like,
well, did you see the Rotten Tomatoes audience
not.
score? It's 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
How many people voted?
Over 100.
I bet it's all 100 people that worked
all
on that
just
movie.
bots, yeah.
It's one of those things like if you want your paycheck for working on this movie, there's a laptop over here. You
Yep.
got to sign in to
Sign in.
IMDb. You know, sign into Rotten Tomatoes. Give it a review.
Yep.
All right, here's your check. You gave it 5
$50.
stars. Yeah.
But yeah, so when I saw the 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, I was like, all right, cool, this will be good. But, you know, obviously there's something going on there.
I mean, whenever a movie comes out, that's the case. Like if you catch it early,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you see like, I will watch anything. I will watch garbage horror movies. Yeah, I'll watch good horror movies. Or not even horror. Like I'll watch any movie for the most part. There's a couple of movies that like when someone was like, "Do you want to watch La La Land?" I was like, "No." And I watched it and I was like, "Okay, this is a decent movie, except for the end. The end of the movie sucks."
Didn't see it.
Oh, it's good. Just turn it off when there's like 5 minutes left. Same thing with Greenland. Just like when the screen goes to black, just turn it off. But some movies just don't capture my attention from the trailer, or I'm like, yeah, I don't know if this movie's for me. But yeah, sometimes I'll be surfing and I'll see that like, oh, this movie's got 4.5 stars. Like the week Skinamarink came out
my
on
fucking Christ.
the worst movie I've seen in years since Clown NATO.
I never even heard of fucking Clown NATO.
Anyone watching, it's not even like fun to watch with a group of friends. Like, oh, this will be fun. We'll watch this bad movie together. There are no redeeming qualities to Clown NATO. It is just trash.
Let's pump the brakes on cryptids for a second. I want you to tell me about Clown NATO, because I have I have an idea of what it could possibly be about, but please tell all of us what Clown NATO is.
Riding on the coattails of the smashing success of the hit series Sharknado.
Correct, yeah.
Right? There's 6 of them, in case you lost count. Earlier we were talking about movies that made up to a part 5, and like we're still making good movies. The jury's still out on Sharknado. I think it's got to sit for another decade, and we can look back on it and say, okay. But I like the first one. But anyway, what was the original question again? The synopsis for Clown
NATO, yes.
All right, so basically there are no protagonists in this movie.
Okay.
Everyone is just a piece of shit.
Okay.
Right? Hair slicked back.
Chicken spaghetti at Ciccolini's.
Chicken spaghetti at Ciccolini's. And someone works at a carnival and they like get killed. Their boyfriend gets killed. They killed somebody. And all of a sudden, there's demon clowns. And there's a tornado. And the tornado goes from town to town.
Dumping demon clowns in it?
In like, I guess the people who survived the circus, like they're trying to live their lives or get away. And then, tornado showed up. Here's a demon clown. Here's this lady who's also a demon but not a clown, and she hates the demon clown. It just sucks. Like there is not one. Whenever like I'm on like 28 like horror groups on Facebook, and people will post all the time like, "What's the worst horror movie you've ever seen?" And I see people posting like good movies on that list sometimes. People will be like Ghoulies, and I'll be like, "Fuck you!" Like Ghoulies is awesome, but like Clown NATO has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Like I can't even. It's like you've seen The Greasy Strangler, right?
I have. So there's something about it that
it's like it's like offensive to the 5 senses, but you could still like be like, hey, watch The Greasy Strangler because you want to talk to somebody else about their experience watching it. Clown NATO has like none of that. It's just a piece of trash.
I don't know. You might be a bullshit artist.
But Skinamarink, back taking like half a step back, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And there's a few people online that are really like championing this movie.
They're lying.
And they're like, "Oh, I loved it. It reminded me of being scared when I was a kid." It's trash. It's pretty much like if we were to point this iPad at the ceiling, and then we were to go eat cereal 3 rooms over, and you could hear just like some faint muffled talking for 2 hours or 190 minutes. It was a really long.
It was
movie.
way too long.
It was 121 minutes or something. I hated it so much.
Yeah,
but I watched the entire movie. Like I'm like, there's going to be a payoff. Yeah, there's going to be a payoff, and it's going to blow my mind. And then it just ends, and you're like, oh okay.
Kelly says she loves a good clown movie. Do you have any other clown movies in your?
Clown is just good.
Oh
a guy buys a haunted Halloween clown costume and he puts it on and he can't take it off.
Yeah, that's
That's
good.
great.
Yep.
Scary or Die has a short in it where a guy gets bit by a clown, and then he becomes a clown. that classic trope of you can get bit by a monster, you become the monster. Then there was that other movie, The Last Circus, which was a foreign film.
Okay.
I think I watched it with you in college. There was a sad
was it
clown and a
black and
happy
white?
clown. I think scenes were, but some of it was in color.
Yeah.
Kind of neat.
Kelly liked it. Yeah.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, probably the greatest clown movie of all time. But yeah, Clownado, skip it.
All right.
Yeah.
So hit any of those ones that Jesse had just said, but not Clownado. Or Kelly, if you want to try Clownado because you like a good clown movie, go for it. Let me know what you think, and let Jesse tag him if you do a review or anything of it. All right, so back to cryptids.
Oh yes, the reason we're all here.
Yeah, the reason why every single one of us are here. We all want to know about this movie.
Someone's real excited to get away from Clownado.
So we talked about Harry and Max, two reporters, trying to figure out what's going on with these murders, and Max figures out that murders coincide with like rainy seasons every handful of years. And then I don't know how he figured that out, and then he saw the creature in his house. How did that even happen again? Do you remember?
That was late movie.
Was that
they
late?
had already cracked the case by then. Remember they had that library scene, you're doing the research in the library scene where he's like,
oh, there's something they're circling.
Yeah, she comes to visit him well, you've been up all night, you're so tired, and he's got all these books, and he's like, I've been going through the town archives and going back 17 years. Every time there was a rainstorm this time of year, there's been a dog disappearance or a death.
Mm-hmm. With a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Which was they didn't need to add that.
It was weird that hey, here's a hole in the ground. Maybe the monster's down. And the whole movie they find these holes and they're like,
but the holes are this big.
And it's pretty dark down there.
Yeah, and
they look at it for a minute and they're like, let's go, let's get out of here. It's going to be dark soon.
Yeah. So they figure out that they know that there's something going on, and then it feels like the cryptid targets Max.
Well, he's the neighbor. His neighbor gets eaten.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he knows it's in my neighborhood. It just
the story fell in his lap.
Lady over here. Yeah. So of course he's a journalist, right? So he's trying to get the scoop because he just got fired from his job at the paper. And he's just trying to make some green, and out of the blue, and we're giving spoilers. This is a spoiler. This whole thing is a spoiler. Okay. Do you want to spoil it for everybody?
Yeah.
Just show. All right.
Spoil anything.
With Harriet, the thing, the shocking scene with Harriet.
Well, that was a little abrupt.
Yeah.
So, with us, she's not the main character, but she's the secondary.
She's a co-star.
Right. And she went off to do something. I don't remember what it was. But it's at night, and then all of a sudden, he hears, banging or something like that. And then Harry, she slams against the glass door, and there's blood pouring out of her neck, and she dies. And you're like, wait.
Is this... We thought it was a dream, maybe? This is a dream sequence. There's no way she's dead.
Yeah, there's no way that she's dead. And she falls to the ground, and then he sees this giant shadow of this cryptid against the wall in his apartment. And then, what happened after that? I'm trying to figure out.
He locked his door. He was like,
he's like,
and the cryptid was tried the handle and was like,
Because after that, where did her body go? There was no, it didn't seem.
It was remember the next scene was him with a blanket, all sad, and the police were talking to him, and he had a cocoa.
Oh,
and they
yeah,
were like,
yeah.
"Oh, we're really sorry, Max.
Yeah,
sorry." They didn't think he did it. There was never hey, this lady's throat has been slit, her blood's
Slashed.
all over your house, and there was never a point where they were like, can you come downtown for some questioning?
Yeah.
Downtown Maine, and they were just like, sorry, and then they left, and I'm assuming that what was the thing the police in this movie were weird. Right away in the first scene, there's a horrible murder, and there's a cop just cleaning the blood off of the road.
Off of the rocks.
Yeah, someone was just murdered here. The sun just came up, they found the body, and no sooner had the coroner got it into the car, and there's a cop just power washing the crime scene, just
Yeah.
That's how they do it in Maine, I guess.
There's a couple things like that. There was a couple of dialogue things where you're just that's a little weird. But there weren't that many to kind of turn you off from it. There was a couple where I was like, they could have fixed that a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. But that was a glaring one where like crime.
Well, because
scene?
you even said like they did like their research enough to like, or they're skilled enough writers to make all this dialogue pretty engaging.
Yeah.
But yet at the same time be like, and these police just do this random job that's like police adjacent. Like it's not quite police work.
Yeah.
Where like the police in this town do nothing to try to solve this case. Like every time it goes to the police, they have no leads. They've questioned nobody. They've gone nowhere. They're just like, nope, haven't caught him yet.
Well, the story wasn't about the police though. There could have been other things behind the scenes. It was about Max, the down and out reporter. You know.
And the police were like, yeah, we think it's a bear, but it might be something wrong with it. I don't know. It's like eating people. It's skinning them alive, but then also not organizing like a posse to go out after it. They didn't contact game wardens and be like, hey, you want to?
You know why? Because remember the mayor wanted it to be done, and did we see one shot of the mayor? He was like this like skinny, bald guy, and I think we got one shot of the mayor. But he ended the investigation, and he just lied and said the killer was caught. It was a bear. Remember that? I was just like, wait, what? What's going on?
It's very similar to Jaws. They were like, yeah, there's no shark. It's fine. Everyone go swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it. It was this small shark. We got him.
They took the notes from Jaws.
Also filmed in Massachusetts.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I have a friend who was in Jaws.
The dead lady?
No, he was a kid on the beach. He got fired because he wouldn't stop shivering because they were filming on a cold day, and he was on the beach in his like little bathing suit, and they were like, hey, Jeff, you got to stop shivering. And he, okay, and then and they fired him. But he's in the movie. He's in like 2 shots.
What a ridiculous thing to be fired for.
Well,
You're like, it's
your old boss Travis Gibb was in. He was in Thinner.
Well, let's bleep this out. Let's back this up. Was he in Thinner?
Yeah, he never cashed the check. He and OJ skipped school and they went to Maine, and they were filming Thinner in Maine, not in Massachusetts. And they cut him a check for $15 for like walking across the street a few times.
Yeah.
And then he never cashed it because the check said Thinner on it, so he could prove to people that he wasn't lying.
Yeah, I mean, I guess $15.
Yeah, but $15 is $15. You know.
All right, so after the case was closed, Max got a gun, and he knew where this thing was going to be, and he called his buddy, which you finally find out is his brother-in-law. Because there's like a subplot where this down-out reporter lost his wife, but he never really seemed like it was mentioned like once or twice, but that wasn't like really big in the movie.
It was a little ambiguous that somehow, like his wife was dead, and he and the police sheriff
were connected somehow.
Both loved this woman, but then we think that he was her sister, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It was never. We're gonna have to get.
Have to watch it again.
Brad Rigo on here and be like, Brad, tell me
what's the backstory.
Yeah, please.
And again, this could be one of those things where the movie had several rewrites because of COVID, because of the filming, where it made sense with one of the cuts. Like maybe they were going to do a flashback to the summer before, where she's out hanging laundry, and then, oh no, I got eaten by the cryptid, and they just had to cut it.
Yep. Or the killer set a bomb.
But he was wrong.
Yeah. Dead wrong. Yeah. Anyway, just a personal joke, everybody. So Max goes out and he calls his Murdoch, his brother-in-law maybe, and says, "I know where this thing is. We're going after it. It's got to stop tonight."
And that was because he pieced together all these disappearances on this map, and was like,
"Oh, they made it very clear. He circled areas on the map a lot. It has to be
here. It's going to be exactly here in the woods, based off where all these murders happened over the past so however many months. Like it's going to be here." So yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And I don't know if I looked away. I don't know if maybe it like cut weird, but Max fell down a hole.
Yeah, that's it. They were walking and then what?
So the holes in this movie that were about like
this big,
like 4 inches wide.
Your leg would get stuck in it.
Right, you're like, oh shit, like, maybe twist your ankle. That would have been more believable. You twist his ankle, he's left behind.
Yeah, that's a serious injury.
Right. It's debilitating.
Change your life. Yeah. So, and so he's at the bottom of this hole. He slips and he falls down, and the police are up there with guns, and he's like, "Hey,
I think he was knocked out for a little bit.
a second."
Yeah.
But he tries to climb out, and he's going, and he's like, "I can't climb out." Right. So that's fine. Like, there's places I've been in where I'm like, "Yeah, I can't climb this." So you can't fault him for that. But he walks away, gets mauled by the monster.
Which is when we finally get a good, clear picture of this cryptid, which looked like
Reptile from Mortal Kombat.
that's
Without
true.
the mask on.
But maybe like 4 feet tall.
Yeah, well, he was hunched.
He was hunched down.
Yeah.
And it was like, Jesse, you fall down a lot of holes. Jesse has fallen down. He's fallen in one hole in college. I remember when that happened.
Jumped over a fence.
Yep.
It was like a fence, like, yeah, I could jump that fence, but on the other side was like a differential, like several, and it was like, hey, but long list of ankle injuries.
Yep.
Sensitive subject.
Very sensitive. So this cryptid, it looked kind of like an alligator reptile man.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. And that's when we start to see it more often. So there was one, and it mauled him. And is that one the one that he shot in the head? He got like bit on the leg first,
And then the shoulder.
and then the shoulder.
And the gore was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually like really good, like practical effects of the wound with blood pouring out of it. Like, that looks really good. Like, they did a really good job on that.
Yeah, and so he shot that one, and then he's trying to get out of this hole, and then there's like two more cops that came with the other cop to kind of help.
One of them was the guy whose horses got eaten. Remember, he wanted
yes.
revenge because he's like, guy ate my horse, or the monster ate my horses. I'm here for revenge. And the other guy was a deputy.
Yeah.
whatever.
So,
But
which were both very poor actors.
yeah,
I think they
one
had to
worse
be-
than the other.
Yeah, I think they had to be like related to
Cousins.
whoever.
But what's weird is, hey, I can't climb out of this hole, right? Then a monster bites your leg to the point of like a bone sticking out practically. Then tries to rip your arm off, and like there's just blood pouring out of your arm, and you kill that monster, and then you climb out of the hole and get out.
Hold on. No, Max, being the quick thinker that he was,
Oh, that's right. He tied it off.
he tied off what's the word?
Made a tourniquet
Made a tourniquet, right? But
out of a flannel shirt.
he cut the hands off of the cryptid, and he wrapped his hands around, and he used that to climb out of the hole. Which, all right, pretty ingenious.
You never would have thought of that.
Right, it was pretty good. A little ridiculous, but that's okay. And so he gets out of the hole, and then there's another one, because when he was down in that hole, you see a stash of eggs.
Classic.
Yeah, stash of eggs. And they get out, and then he meets with the sheriff, and then I don't remember exactly what happened after that. Do you remember exactly how it went? Because there was another one.
Because, some of the guys had gotten killed up top.
Yep.
And the sheriff's like, we got to get out of here. And he's like, we can't. There's still some eggs. And then he takes the sheriff down back underground, and the eggs are gone.
Yep.
And he's like, I swear there were eggs here. And then my thought was that the sheriff had snuck down there while he was climbing out, taken all the eggs, because there was going to be a big reveal that was going to blow my mind. Yeah. Where they're like, at the end of the movie, like, yeah, sorry, man, this cryptid must have got away. And then he goes home, and he's got all the eggs, and they're hatching.
Right, he turns to the camera. Guess he's a cryptid.
And that the sheriff has like been in on protecting this species for years. Like, that would have been really cool, but instead it just goes like, the end.
Yeah. He did have weird teeth, though.
The
Sheriff, yeah. It was like a U, and it was very weird. He looked like an old Matt Hughes, that UFC fighter.
Yeah.
So,
Wonder how he's doing now.
I mean, we could look him up.
But
But
he should do a comeback and fight all like other older retired fighters.
I
The
don't know.
OFC.
The old FC.
The old fighting
championship.
Yeah, I'd watch it. Oh,
So-
see?
Somebody wants that. Randy Couture, I'd be in a Chuck Liddell. He's got a...
No, Chuck Liddell would have to just be a ref.
Yeah, because no way, he can't get hit.
No, if he
Not
gets
one
hit
more
again,
time.
Yeah, he could go just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, I think the movie, I know I've said it before, it wasn't bad. It had decent gore. The creature reveal at the end, like, I wish we saw more of it, but it was like pretty good practical effects, but it was worth, like, just like IMDb had 4.8.
4.8 out of
Yeah.
10. I was like, you know what? That's pretty spot on.
Yeah. So if you want to give that, you probably don't have to watch it now that you've listened to the show for the past hour.
Unless we've intrigued you to be like,
Right. You're like, you know what? I'm going to pop this
how
on."
bad was that ankle injury?
Right. Type it in, shaking, be like. So yeah, definitely a decent watch and a good addition to the Hellmouth Movie Club. And I didn't make a sticker. I was trying to make stickers for every single one of these, but when we did Holes in the Sky, I didn't sell any of them.
Oh.
So I was like, do I want to spend money to have these things and not sell any of it? Like, I know that maybe later on it would go, but I was like, maybe not right now. Maybe later on when we get this thing gets rolling, we'll have more stuff, Maybe I'll make stickers or something like that, but don't have any CRYPTID stickers. I apologize. So.
Well, I would say that this movie is a one watch. That, once you've seen it, and then, like, you're not going to be sitting around months from now or in a year and be like, I don't really want to watch CRYPTID again. It's a one watch.
Fire it up.
Yeah, so that, like, if someone that has seen it and you like cryptids and they like cryptids, you're like, did you see that movie Cryptid? And then you have that conversation, and then you do with that what you will. But what is it, $4.99 to catch on Amazon Prime right now?
Yep.
If you want, it's $12.99 to buy with like free shipping or whatever.
Yeah. Delivered to your home.
I don't know if you need to own it. Maybe you just watch it that once if
Yeah.
you're into cryptids, and and then you go, okay,
We're done,
seen that movie. Check it off the list. If you're keeping current with the Hellmouth, Cryptid Movie Club, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, I've only seen like half of the movies that they have reviewed. If you want to like stay current, be relevant in the chat, whatever. It's a one watch.
And if you had watched that movie and you chimed in on chat, you know how many gifts you'd be getting right now? Gifts would be packed up before the show even ended and on its way to your house. So next time, make sure you watch that movie, and I'll send out some free gifts to people. So we're gonna be doing Hellmouth Movie Club every fourth Wednesday of the month, and we're gonna have a guest on every second Wednesday of the month. So that way we can kind of have like a schedule on what's going on and get something a little more regular going. And I have to decide what the next one's gonna be.
Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere.
Can you pick a good movie for next time?
You know what? There are other Mothman movies. There's the Mothman of Point Pleasant. It's probably another one. But there's also the Mothman... Actually, not a week... It's fair to say that a week in my life does not go by where I do not reference the Mothman prophecies in regards to someone being like, where's my chapstick? Yeah, and then be like, oh, the Mothman's going to get you. And they're like, what? And then like, haven't you seen the Mothman prophecies? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, he's attracted to chapstick. He'll get you.
I got Stina from Laserbrain to make chapstick for the moth. It just said chapstick across. And she made that like early on when she was when she started Laserbrain.
Now, do you know where the Mothman is from, Josh?
From?
Yeah, I'm trying to look something up on my phone. I have a scary thing. Do you know where the Mothman is from?
I don't know if I know where it's from because it has been like in several different places. Well, I knew Point Pleasant.
Yeah, I got this phone call the other day from Point Pleasant. Probably the Mothman.
Or Richard Gere.
I got it at school, and I was like, that's the Mothman. Yeah.
Why didn't you answer it?
I was at school, and I was working, and I was like, oh my God.
You could have told kids, hold on.
Yeah,
this
kid,
is important.
Mothman. He's going to warn
This
me
is
about
very
something that's going
important,
to happen.
And all of a sudden, the earthquake that just happened here in New Hampshire. Did you hear about that?
Was it today?
It might have been
I
yesterday.
must have slept through it.
Yeah, it was up near Meredith.
I've only experienced one earthquake in New Hampshire so far in my
Same.
long time of living in New Hampshire. If there was a prequel or a sequel to this movie, would you watch it?
Yeah. I think. I guess it could be made, either way because the whole thing. The creature had migration patterns.
Right, kind of like It in Jeepers Creepers, where like, oh, every so many it does its thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be into just a whole nother kind of sort. Hopefully, it's a little bit shorter, maybe a different, main character, different kind of story.
I mean, it would have to be, I guess.
No, I mean, like, he's not like 7 years have gone past, and he's got a big scar down his shoulder, It walks with a limp because of the leg injury. But yeah, I'd give a sequel or even a prequel to this. I'd give it a shot.
I think this movie would work better as a prequel to show like what happened to his wife, maybe.
And hopefully she did get mauled by a cryptid.
Yeah, and this cryptid wasn't any actual cryptid, which I was kind of disappointed about. I was like, when we finally saw it, like, oh, it's just a monster. Like, it's not the Jersey Devil. It's not a Slender Man, reaching into your window and dragging you out of your house at night. It's just, it's just a lizard man. So it's just a lizard man, not even a Jersey Devil.
If anybody's got any suggestions for the next Hellmouth Movie Club, I know, Kelly, you gave us a handful of movies, but I saw like most of them because I wrote them down and I started looking up. There was that one, I think it was a Shudder one, where a guy was like holding up inside of his house because things were coming out at night. And I think at the end, like, you found like his wife got like killed by something that was like attacking the house at night. That looked cool, but I was like, oh, what's this? And then I was like, oh, wait, I've already seen it. I don't remember the name of it. Yeah, but like, if anybody has any movies, I would gladly take some suggestions, because I look around and got some stuff and just kind of, try to figure it out. Would I don't know if I should do one. Maybe do one that we've already seen, because I know I have a VHS club thing that I'm doing where we do merch for a movie, and it comes in a custom like VHS, has custom VHS artwork, and then there's like pins and stuff inside of it. And I know I'm going to do Fire in the Sky for the next one of that.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
has one of the scariest scenes in cinema history.
Yeah, After Midnight was that one? Let me just Google it real quick, because I think that's the one that we were talking about.
Or you could just play a random episode of Unsolved Mysteries. That was enough to like horrify me into a coma at night when I was a kid on Wednesdays, when that would come on at like 8 p.m.
It was after. Jesse, you've seen this movie, After Midnight?
I've seen the cover. I've crossed paths with it a bunch of times, like scrolling through movies, but I don't know that I've actually seen this one.
Yeah, let's we're here. Let's watch the trailer. Screw it, right? Let's see here. Turn this up.
Just disappear. Ever since you left, some kind of thing coming out of the woods every night.
So they can't see this.
They can't see the trailer. We're watching guys playing a record.
I'm crazy without
Got a girlfriend.
Going around town telling people there's a big bad wolf trying to blow our house down. Maybe she got tired of waiting.
Looks like the sheriff from
She just
Stranger
tell your
Things.
sister she ought to just
Cop
come
looks
on.
like a dork.
Yeah, kitty. You see what it did to my door?
How do you know, though?
'Cause I saw it.
I've seen him.
There ain't one town don't have someone saying they seen something they can't explain.
You're right about most things, but you're wrong about one thing. You are enough for me, Abby.
I have never seen this movie.
Hell, I'm not entirely convinced it's not you. Like a werewolf or something.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Yeah, no, I've seen it already. Me and Vicky watched it like last year, and it was especially more so because of that poster. The poster is pretty intense, but the movie's good. It is a slow burn, like Kelly said.
I did see a movie recently. I can't think of the name of it. I think it was on Shudder, and it was about a guy who is a podcaster who like really tries to push the envelope to like scare his viewers.
I saw it. Was it the Many Eyes one?
Yes.
Yes, I saw it.
I think that's what. So he went to this guy. His wife loved his show and had him up to his farm.
Yep.
And they like never showed the monster at all.
Yep.
Okay, that was the one.
Yep. That was a very poor film.
And the guy had all the traps around his house.
Yep. And you're just like, cool. Actually, they did show the monster in the last.
Just for a second.
Yeah, it just had like a whole bunch of eyes, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, but part of okay.
And then it should have ended, and then it was like another 20 minutes of him going back home and like being,
Yeah, okay.
affected by it. So, wasn't good. But this one, yeah, Jesse, check this after midnight. It's
Sure,
it's a
I'll check
good
it
film.
out.
So yeah, I got to figure out the next one.
Oh, good. 5.3 out of 10. Can't wait.
Okay, so final thoughts on the film?
I think I said everything I had to say about it. Like, it wasn't bad, but it's a one watch. You watch it and you're like, okay, I've absorbed this movie, and I can move on with my life and watch other movies. You wouldn't want to watch this movie again and again and again. But yeah, as a one watch, like it's fine. But also, if you're someone who's like, oh, I put a movie on and then I'm like playing on your phone, you're just gonna miss the entire movie because like a lot of the dialogue is like, as it's like kind of a procedural. Like you might be like, oh my god, the movie's over. Like nothing barely even happened. Where if you're like paying too much attention to your phone, so I made certain that I was just
laser focused
on this movie. Occasionally making some comments, to Josh, being like, oh, okay, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. It's like I said, if there was a sequel, I would like to see where they would take this creature. Because the creature was kind of fun. So I'd be into it.
In the city.
It
goes down the sewer, and then it just goes right to Boston. It's like Chud. It's like Chud 3.
I put Chud on recently.
I know.
And it was way worse than I remembered. I remember being like, "Oh my god, Chud, it's so cool!" And I was
cool
like,
movie poster.
Yeah, but I think it was like 45 minutes before like anything happened.
Yeah, well, you know what's worse? Chud 2.
No,
Bud the Chud.
I never saw it.
My whole life, I thought I knew who Marquis Salamone was from the commercials.
Yeah.
He's an actor pretending to be Marquis Salamone in the commercials because he's an army general in Chud 2. Yeah, how about that?
Marquis Salamone in the Northeast, he was one of those lawyers.
Yeah, television.
Have
lawyer.
you been hurt by
malpractice?
Yeah.
Did you slip and fall?
Yeah, we'll fight for you.
Are you stupid? Did you fall down on ice?
Holding
Break your leg?
Holding a Dunkin' Donuts cup? But, well, that's good to know. I guess I won't hit. I mean, Chud 1 was so bad.
Chud 2 is it's a comedy.
No.
It's not a horror. It's just a straight up like, it's practically slapstick.
Maybe they need to remake that.
Sometimes remakes make sense when like the technology wasn't available. Like the original The Thing, but then the '82 John Carpenter remake, one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
The Fly, same thing. Like it was what it was back
Jesus.
then. The Fly remake, fantastic with Jeff Goldblum, the Brundlefly. The Blob,
I can't watch that movie.
The Blob remake. Like sometimes, like hey, we made these movies way before we had the technology. It sucks to do a remake just for the sake of like, well, hell, let's reach into this bag. Let's remake this movie. When the original was great. What's the point?
Total Recall. That's
RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah, like why remake RoboCop? It was perfect.
Well, it's because like RoboCop 3
We're not
was
talking
so
about
bad.
They didn't remake RoboCop 3.
I know, but like the trajectory of RoboCop movies, it needed something, But anyway, we're getting far away from cryptids.
Yeah.
Cryptid. So, Jesse.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you on the internet?
Well, I guess if you go to YouTube and you look up horror score, now you might be like, wait a minute, these are from like a long time ago. It's been about 2 years since a horror review came out, but they're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start reviewing horror movies again. Probably, episodes will start rolling out in May, which is in a couple.
Nice.
May is in a couple days, but probably towards the end of the month.
So the format of the show, is it just you and Vanessa just talking about like the movies? I know that you have different scoring techniques.
We're changing all that.
Changing all?
Yeah, I believe we're changing it all to be able to make episodes shorter.
Okay.
To be able to aim for like 10 or 15 minutes to kind of get into the good or bad of a movie. Throw some star rating out. We used to score things on a scale, but movies were getting scores that sounded bad for like, hey, this movie was great and it earned 71 points. But like if you think
out of
about
100,
and if you think of like grades in school, you're like, oh, 71, man, that sucks. So like the highest movie that we ended up, like the way our scoring system worked for various things, kills and artistry, music and deaths, nudity. It just it was like just a biased scoring system for fun. But it turned out that we needed to change it, and we haven't settled on anything yet. But we're in talks of kind of overhauling the review system, and just making episodes have less work in post. As well, to be able to like crank them out a little bit faster and just tell people what we thought of horror movies as we were watching them. My job is to find the good in any movie except Clown NATO. So
no nudity in CRYPTID. No nudity in this movie, which
they teased like the sexual tension between Harry and Max.
Yeah.
But then they cut her head off. So.
Yeah, it was. We were like, what the fuck? At least a little something, Yeah. A little something would have been nice. I'm here, sitting here. It's like an hour, almost 2 hours long. Don't even get to see any nipples. Like, what the hell?
I hear you.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out for a little bit. And yeah, like I said, in about a month we're gonna have another movie up. So if you want to make sure you subscribe to the channel, you'll get an alert when I put up the teaser for the next show. Like I've got another show coming on May 6th. It's going to be the Revenge of the Sixth.
March 6th would be a long time.
Yeah.
Coming out next year.
Yeah, it's the Star Wars theme. We got a whole bunch of like Star Wars pins ready to go. So they'll be during Free Comic Book Day. So that'll be an interesting show. We're done. I actually have the person who owns the Betty and Barney Hill house. They're going to be coming on in June. So stay tuned for that one. That'll be pretty sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
And I have one other person that has some like a UFO thing. I'm still in talks with some people, so trying to figure that out. And maybe we can get your mom on at some point.
My mom does have a very compelling UFO eyewitness story from sometime in the 70s, I think, like 1972, 1973. I've heard the story hundreds of times.
Yeah.
So I talked to her today about. I was like, if you want to go on his show and tell him about it, and she was like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that would probably be better for when the studio is built. Which
no,
studio?
She can't go up those stairs.
She can't walk up those stairs?
Probably not.
Oh.
Well, she'll complain about it.
Yeah. Well,
during the show, you'd be like, "So, tell me about the UFO." My leg.
My leg, just like.
Oh, Josh, these stairs. Okay, you gotta. Can we do this downstairs?
A little studio update. The studio, like the walls are built. We got sheetrock up, so we got mudding and taping to do. So it's coming along. We're pretty pumped on that. So, but thank you everybody for stopping by. Thank Jesse for coming by. This was fun. I'm glad that he was here because Jesse's got one of those, like, he remembers more things than I ever do. So he like remembered a whole bunch of parts of this movie that I was like, I would have been like, the movie was
it was a monster.
It was good. It had teeth. It bit somebody. So it was good. It was a fun time. Thanks everybody for stopping by. So check us out on the 6th, May 6th, and then be on the lookout for Jesse on Horror Score on YouTube, and see you whenever.
And I'm happy to come back because I live down the street.
Yeah, be perfect.
How about that?
Nice and easy. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.